Have you ever wondered if the final digit of your birth year holds deeper meaning than just a number? According to ancient Buddhist philosophy, numbers are not merely mathematical concepts. They are living energies, pulsating in harmony with the universal forces that shape our lives. The last digit of your birth year is not a coincidence. It is a spiritual marker, a signpost guiding your soul's journey through this lifetime. In Buddhist thought, all beings are connected by invisible threads of energy, and even the smallest details, like a number, can act as gateways to your karmic blueprint. If you're open to discovering how this digit affects your strengths, challenges, and spiritual path, what you learn today may shift how you perceive your own life forever. As someone who has spent decades immersed in Buddhist scriptures, lived in monastic communities, and guided countless individuals through the maze of karma and self-discovery, I can say with confidence, this teaching, though seemingly simple, is a gem of wisdom. Let us explore the meanings of the numbers 0 through 9 and how understanding them can unlock profound self-awareness. But before we begin, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of your body, the air filling your lungs, and the stillness between thoughts. This moment, the present, is where transformation begins. For Buddhists, especially within Vajrayana and Mahayana traditions, numbers symbolize the subtle interaction between form and emptiness, karma and liberation. A number is never just a shape, it carries a vibration, a rhythm that echoes in our actions and experiences. Monks from Tibetan and Thai traditions often use numerology not for fortune-telling, but as a spiritual diagnostic tool, as if listening to the resonance of the universe through the filter of one's own being. Thus, the last digit of your birth year can be seen as the echo of your life, a karmic syllable reflecting your tendencies, potential, and the lessons you are here to master. What follows is not doctrine, but an offering. Interpret these meanings not as limits, but as mirrors. Where you encounter resistance, you will find growth. Where you see clarity, you will find purpose. 0 might look like nothing, but in Buddhist tradition, it symbolizes the ultimate space, the boundless void known as sunyata. This isn't emptiness in a bleak sense. Instead, it's the rich, fertile emptiness from which all things arise and to which all things return. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few." That is 0, the mind before thought, before identity, where everything is possible. If your birth year ends in 0, your life is likely shaped by cycles of death and rebirth, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. You've probably experienced more than your share of endings, but each one of those endings was preparing the soil for something new. I've seen many students with this number struggle with the frustration of repeating patterns. One man I guided through years of meditation said, "Every time I think I've escaped an old habit, it comes back in a different form." That's the essence of karma. In Buddhist psychology, this is the cycle of samsara, and your gift is to recognize it, sit with it, and then rise from it renewed. 0 teaches you to become comfortable in the unknown. It's where the bodhisattva lives, not clinging to past identity, not chasing future outcomes. The wisdom of 0 invites you to become the sky, not the clouds. When you begin to see your chaos as part of a larger dance, a cosmic rhythm of rise and fall, you loosen your grip, and in that loosening, liberation finds space to breathe. The Buddha said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." And for you, that spiritual life begins in the quiet open space of 0. Number 1, it's the spark, the first breath, the step into the unknown. If your birth year ends in 1, you've been gifted the energy of new beginnings. You carry a spirit that doesn't wait for permission, a pioneer, not only in the world, but in the heart. People like you often take the road no one else will walk. And it's not because it's easy. It's because your soul recognizes that real growth starts where comfort ends. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." That is the essence of the number one, the lone walker who trusts their inner compass even when the trail fades. In past lives, you may have been the wanderer, the teacher, the reformer, someone who led quietly but firmly. Yet with that strength comes a shadow. You might feel like you always have to do everything alone. You might resist support, thinking it weakens your independence. One of my students, a woman who'd spent her life building a successful business, once told me, "I never ask for help. I feel guilty if I'm not carrying everyone else." Her story is common among those born under this number. But the Dharma doesn't teach isolation. It teaches interdependence. Leadership in Buddhism isn't about power. It's about presence. It's about being the still rock in the river so others can cross. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The most precious gift we can offer others is our presence." And when you, as a number one, use your presence to uplift rather than isolate, your leadership becomes transformative. Your karmic lesson is not just to lead, it's to inspire without overpowering, to shine without casting shadows. When your strength becomes a sanctuary for others, not a fortress to protect your ego, that's when your true potential unlocks. You don't have to carry the world. You just have to light the path. Two is where opposites meet. Light and dark, movement and stillness, heart and mind. If your birth year ends in 2, you are the one who walks between. You're probably someone people go to when they need someone to truly listen. Not just hear, but understand. You're deeply empathetic, and your ability to tune into both sides of a situation makes you an incredible mediator. But with that gift comes a great temptation, to keep the peace at the expense of your own truth. I once met a monk in Chiang Mai who had taken a vow of silence, not because he was avoiding speech, but because he was relearning how to speak honestly. He told me, "Before I used my words to keep others calm, not to express what I really saw." That wasn't compassion, that was fear. That lesson still stays with me. The Buddha's teaching of the middle way is often misunderstood as neutrality, but true balance isn't passivity, it's presence. It means standing in your truth while remaining open to the truths of others. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha reminds us to love not just the world, but ourselves, saying, "Just as a mother would protect her only child, even at the risk of her own life, let one cultivate a boundless love toward all beings." That all beings includes you. Your spiritual challenge is to include yourself in the peace you're creating. Speak up even when it's uncomfortable. Tell the truth even if it trembles. You are not here to be the glue holding others together while quietly breaking apart. You are here to be a mirror, reflecting harmony and integrity. When you honor your voice, your peace becomes genuine, and you become a bridge not just between people, but between worlds. That is the power of the number 2. If your birth year ends in 3, you likely carry the sacred energy of expression. You're not just creative, you are called to create. Whether it's through storytelling, painting, music, or movement, you have a gift for transforming raw experience into beauty and insight. In Buddhist terms, you are an upaya, a skillful means by which wisdom expresses itself in the world. But creativity without structure can become chaos. I once worked with a monk who was also a sculptor. He spent hours carving intricate bodhisattva statues from wood, only to burn them when he was done. When I asked him why, he smiled and said, "The purpose is not the product. The purpose is presence." That's the heart of it. Creation is not about outcome, it's about connection. Those born under the number 3 often find themselves inspired by everything, and committed to nothing. Projects pile up, ideas overflow. But true spiritual artistry isn't random. It's rooted in awareness. The Buddha taught samavayama, right effort, which means applying your energy in ways that lead to clarity, not confusion. The Dhammapada says, a disciplined mind brings happiness. That's your path. Channel your overflowing ideas into focused practices. Let meditation become your muse. Let service become your canvas. When your inspiration is held in the container of discipline, it becomes something sacred. You are here not just to express, but to awaken through expression. And when you bring mindfulness into your creative process, your art won't just impress, it will enlighten. That's the deeper purpose of the number 3. The number 4 is rooted in strength, the kind of strength that holds space for others to grow. Think of the 4 noble truths, the bedrock of the Buddhist teaching. Think of the 4 immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. The core attitudes for an awakened heart. If your birth year ends in 4, you are here to be a foundation, a structure of integrity and reliability in a shifting world. You may be the one in your family or community that people lean on. You show up. You keep your word. You value order and commitment, and there's beauty in that. The Buddha himself emphasized discipline through the Vinaya, the monastic code, knowing that freedom arises through wise boundaries, but structure can harden into rigidity. I once met a retired engineer who became a Zen practitioner late in life. He told me, "For years I thought if I built the perfect schedule, life wouldn't surprise me anymore. It wasn't until I lost everything I'd planned for that I found real peace in letting go." That's a powerful lesson for the number 4. When we cling to routine, we risk becoming brittle. Impermanence, anicca, is not just a concept, it's a lived truth. And your spiritual challenge is to recognize that even the most beautiful temple must one day crumble. Your task is not to resist change, but to hold steady while everything shifts around you. Be like the earth, solid, supportive, but open to rain, wind, and time. You're not here to build walls. You're here to hold space. Let your structure be flexible. Let your discipline be infused with compassion. In doing so, you won't just survive change, you'll thrive within it. That's the deeper purpose of the number 4. Freedom. That's the word that sings in your bones if you were born under the number 5. People like you don't fit neatly into boxes. You're the wanderer, the seeker, the one who asks, "What's next?" Not out of impatience, but out of deep curiosity. If your birth year ends in 5, you likely find joy in the unknown. You crave movement, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. Your soul is built for discovery. In Buddhist history, we see this spirit in the story of Suddhana from the Avatamsaka Sutra. He was a young boy who went on a pilgrimage to find wisdom, visiting 53 different spiritual teachers. Each one gave him a piece of the puzzle, and it was only through constant movement and questioning that he came to understand the whole. That's the path of a 5, the pilgrimage, not the destination. But here's the challenge, and it's a big one. When freedom is unrooted, it becomes restlessness. I've seen it often in students who chase the next retreat, the next book, the next aha moment, but never stop long enough to let what they have learned settle in their bones. One of my teachers once said, "Spiritual insight is like tea. It needs time to steep." True freedom, the Buddha taught, is not the absence of boundaries. It's the presence of wisdom. It's knowing what to say no to, so your yes can be wholehearted. The Dharma is filled with paradox. The more we root ourselves in discipline, the more we expand. As the Buddha said, to enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. Your gift is your flexibility, your ability to adapt, to thrive and change. But your spiritual task is to commit, not to everything, but to what matters. Whether it's a practice, a relationship, a path of service, find something worth staying for. Let your heart rest inside your journey. You're not meant to be caged, but you are meant to be anchored. When your wild spirit finds a wise center, your life becomes a sacred map, full of color, full of meaning, and always moving in the direction of awakening. That's the deeper purpose of the number 5. 6 is the number of the heart, the quiet power of nurturing, healing, and holding others in their most vulnerable moments. If your birth year ends in 6, you likely have a natural instinct to care, to mend, to bring warmth where there is cold. You are the one people turn to in times of emotional storm. Your love is steady, patient, and full of grace. In Buddhist philosophy, this loving presence is reflected in the concept of karuna, or compassion. The Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion, is often depicted with 1,000 arms, not to show power, but to suggest the infinite ways we can care for others. But even Avalokiteshvara's arms are rooted in equanimity, not exhaustion. That's the key lesson for number 6. Compassion must be balanced with upekkha, equanimity. I remember a caregiver at a hospice center who told me, "I used to feel guilty taking time off, but then I realized, if I'm not whole, I can't help others heal." That's wisdom speaking through experience. Love is your superpower, but when it's unchecked, it becomes self-sacrifice. Buddhism teaches that the first person deserving of compassion is yourself. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." It's not selfish to set boundaries. It's spiritual. It allows your love to stay clean, not tangled in obligation or burnout. Prioritize practices that refill your well: meditation, nature, sacred solitude. When you tend to your own garden, you're better prepared to nourish others. You are here to be a light in the dark, not a flame that burns out. When you care with clarity, your compassion becomes not just a gift, but a path to awakening. That's the deeper wisdom of the number 6. If your birth year ends in 7, you're the kind of person who doesn't just ask, "What's happening?" You ask, "What does it mean?" The number 7 draws you into a life of reflection, depth, and spiritual seeking. You may feel like you've always had an old soul. Books, long walks, time in silence. These things feed you in ways others might not understand. And that's okay. The journey of a 7 is often invisible on the outside but profound within. In Buddhism, the power of introspection is revered. The Buddha himself left a life of comfort not for answers, but for questions. And he found enlightenment sitting under the Bodhi tree in solitude. But even the Buddha, after awakening, returned to the world. That's where the lesson comes in. I remember a woman I taught during a meditation retreat in California. She was brilliant, always journaling, reflecting, searching. But she told me, "I feel like the more I understand myself, the less I know how to be with others." That's the paradox of the number 7. Solitude is your sanctuary, but isolation can quietly become a prison. The Dharma teaches the middle way, balance between extremes. Yes, dive into your inner world, but also return. Share what you find. Even the smallest insight might be exactly what someone else needs. As Zen Master Dogen once wrote, "To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things." You are a spiritual bridge between silence and speech, mystery and meaning. The world needs your depth, but you need its presence too. So come down from the mountain sometimes, join the Sangha, the community. Let your insights breathe with others. That is the true rhythm of awakening. solitude and connection and harmony. That's the heart of the number 7. 8 is the number of power, achievement, and karmic responsibility. If your birth year ends in 8, you likely have a strong sense of purpose, an inner drive that pushes you to succeed. People with this number often have a natural understanding of systems, money, influence, and how to manifest their ideas into reality. You're not afraid of hard work. In fact, you thrive on it. In Buddhist cosmology, the number 8 shows up in profound ways, most notably in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha's roadmap to liberation. This path teaches that material success alone isn't enough. It's what you do with it that matters. And that's the great lesson for 8s, to align worldly ambition with inner awakening. I once counseled a tech entrepreneur who had built and sold multiple companies before he turned 40. He came to me exhausted and disillusioned. I thought once I hit my number, he said, I'd feel peace, but I just feel empty. That conversation led us into the heart of the Dharma. Success, the Buddha taught, becomes suffering when it's untethered from meaning. The danger for number 8 isn't failure, it's attachment. It's mistaking wealth for worth or status for fulfillment. But when you turn that powerful energy inward, when you use your influence to elevate others, your money to ease suffering, your leadership to spread compassion, you become what Buddhism calls a bodhisattva, someone who succeeds not for ego, but for the benefit of all beings. As Lama Yeshe said, if you have wisdom, material things are helpful. Without wisdom, they can destroy you. Let your ambition be guided by mindfulness. Let your drive serve the Dharma. That's when your abundance becomes a blessing, not just for you, but for the world around you. You are here not just to build, but to bless. That's the spiritual depth of the number 8. If your birth year ends in 9, you carry the weight and wisdom of many lifetimes. You're not here to simply exist. You're here to uplift, to heal, and to serve with a heart that sees the suffering of the world and aches to do something about it. This is the energy of the old soul, the number that signifies completion, compassion, and cosmic perspective. People with this number are often the counselors, the humanitarians, the quiet sages in their communities. But there's a heaviness that can come with such deep sensitivity. You may often feel like the problems of the world are yours to solve. You might find yourself overwhelmed by global issues or burned out by constantly supporting others. I once sat in retreat with a hospice chaplain who'd spent decades sitting with the dying. She said to me, I used to think my job was to save people from death. Now I see it's to be fully present while they walk their final steps. That shift from savior to servant is the sacred transformation of the number 9. The Buddha taught that we do not awaken alone. We walk the path in sangha, in community. Even the bodhisattvas don't carry the load by themselves. Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion, is often shown with many heads and arms, not to symbolize doing everything alone, but to represent the power of shared compassion. Your karmic lesson is to let go of control, to trust others, to delegate not just tasks, but trust. Sometimes lighting one lantern is more powerful than trying to illuminate the entire world. Your wisdom is not in how much you carry, but in how gently you walk. You are here to remind others and yourself that life is precious, brief, and filled with potential for awakening. Let your compassion be wide, but let your boundaries be wise. You are not here to rescue everyone. You are here to serve with presence, humility, and grace. That's the sacred gift of the number 9. Numbers are more than math. They are mantras. Your birth year's final digit is a whisper from the universe, calling you inward. Listen to it, reflect on it, and may its insight guide your every step. Subscribe to Buddhist Wisdom Daily for more content like this. May you be well. May you be peaceful, and may you be free.